Hello and welcome to the PT-vélo.podcast. My name is Emma and this is a channel where I talk about knitting. And it hasn't been long since my last episode, but I have a few finished objects and new works in progress. I wanted to show them to you. And so I don't work on too many things and I don't make episodes that are too long. And I only have knitting today, no sewing, no other crafts or anything, just knitting. And we will start with the finished objects. The first one, I wanted to wear it today, but it's still a little bit damp. So I'm going to show it to you like this. It's not the best. It's the Vilma top from Gregoria fibers, and I wanted to wear it today so I could show it to you a bit better, but I could film today and not in a few days, and it would have been a bit too long before I could film another episode, so I thought I would show it to you like this, and maybe in the next episode I will be wearing it. But yeah, I don't know if you can see it correctly like this. I don't want to take it off the mats because I don't want to like it spin, so I don't want to take them off. But this, I don't know if I can show it to you. Maybe I put a picture so you can see it, or maybe me wearing it because it takes me a bit of time to edit. So maybe by the time I finish editing, the vest will be dry. So this is the Vilma top, as I said, by Gregoria fibers, and I knitted with Douro from Rosários 4, and this is a fingering weight yarn, light fingering, so I held it double. I haven't used much because I have this left, which is a little bit less than 50 grams. I think it was 43, something like that, for the two of them. And so I used just a bit over, like I used 160 grams for the whole vest, so it's not a lot. But I do think it's gonna be warm. And I just want to show you the tag because I have it in there, but it's all tangled into yarn. Get it out. So here is the tag. So it's 100% organic wool, non-superwash Portuguese wool, and it's the colorway 3, and it's 280 meters per 50 grams, so light fingering. Whoops, lost the two balls. And so this is a bottom-up construction. So we start with a provisional cast on, then we knit back and forth until the armholes, and then we separate. We knit one front, then put the stitches on hold, then knit the second front, put the stitches on hold, knit the back, and then sew them together with a 3-needle bind-off. Then we can do the collar and the ribbing for the arms. And then we take the stitches that were on hold back on the needles and make the lace part at the bottom. And then we pick up the stitches for the button band, the two sides, and make the buttons while knitting the button band. And It was not the easiest to knit, so not so much a beginner-friendly pattern, but I love the results. And I can't wait to wear it. What else did I want to say about that? I'm not sure, because I talked a lot about it in my last episode, so I'm not sure I have much more to say. I think that if I were to do it again, maybe I wouldn't do a provisional cast on and start straight away with the bottom part and not do it afterwards, because I'm not sure why this is so important to do it that way. The only thing that I have in mind is that you can adjust length a bit more easily than if you do it just at the beginning, because it's a little bit easier to figure it out, like when you wear it, how long you want it, and also that it's bind off and not a cast on edge. I don't know. Also, in the details, I did the bind off. I did an Italian bind off for the collar and the ribbing on the sleeves, on the armholes. And I tried for the button band. I think that the Italian bind off or tubular bind off doesn't look as neat as a classic bind off for the button bands. I've tried that in the past and I think it's a little bit wonky. Maybe it's my way of doing it, but I didn't want to do it that way for this one. And so first I tried to do a normal bind off, but all the stitches in stockinette stitch. And I thought that we could see it a little bit too much. You know, you have this this kind of braid that comes to the front when you do a bind off like this. So I did a bind off in pattern. So I did one stockinette, one stitch in stockinette and one stitch in purl. And so that's the way I preferred it. And that I think that's it. So I'm looking at it, sorry, it's I put it on the floor, but I think that's all that I have to say about that. I still haven't decided for the buttons. I was thinking maybe about wooden buttons, but I'm still quite unsure about that. And anyway, the ones that I have, they're 18 millimeters when I need buttons of 15 millimeters. So they're too big anyway, so I'll have to find something else. And maybe I think I would like to find buttons without any holes in it. And you know, I have no idea how this is called, but you only have the top of the button and then underneath you have a little thing where you attach the thread to sew it, and so you don't see the thread coming out of the button. So maybe I can do that. I just have to find the buttons. I always feel like it's really hard to find the right buttons because it's such a big detail to a cardigan or a vest. So yeah, I still have a bit of time, but I want to do it when it's dry. So I have a few days to think about it. The next finished object that I have, and I didn't say what I was wearing. This is the Scammer pullover by I can't remember, sorry. I'll put it on the screen and in the description down below. And I wear it quite a lot. I love it. And it's just that the yarn is a little bit itchy, so it's not always easy to wear it just on top of a t-shirt, for example. It is a little bit, so. And the yarn is, I think the tag, it's from Maison Septembre, and I can't remember the name of the yarn either. But I'll put my Ravelry project page down below so you have all the information that you need to have. So the next finished object, and the last one, is kind of a finished object, but not so much. I'll explain. Okay, great. I lost the second one. Anyway, so those are the mittens that I made. For my son. It's a little bit too bright on the screen. I think maybe here it's a little bit more the right color, I think. And those are the world's simplest mittens by Apella.Knits. And I made the toddler size with the DK weight yarn. So in the pattern you have different sizes, so toddler, children, and 3 adult sizes. And you can knit them in with the gauge of fingering weight, DK, Aran, and Chunky, I think. So this is the DK version. And I tried, I'm gonna show it to you, I have it here. I showed this one in the last podcast, but here is the one that I had first. So I used a sock yarn that I held double, fingering weight, and for the ribbing here, for the wrist, I held 1 strand of this one and 1 strand of brushed alpaca silk. And I wouldn't have had enough, and I did the children's size, which was too big. Nothing worked in there with that. Wouldn't have had enough yarn, so I stopped. Started again with this yarn, which is a DK weight yarn. I think it's 200 meters or 210, something around that, per 100 grams. I had 1 ball of this. I bought it at the local yarn store. Yarn store didn't have any tag on it, but the store owner told me that it was 40% alpaca or 30, I can't remember, but around this. And then the rest was wool, non-superwash. So yeah, first I tried holding it double. I did the DK option, but it made an Aran weight, so Aran gauge, so it didn't work either. Was too big, didn't work. And it was really, my gauge was really tight, so I thought it wouldn't be really comfortable for my son to wear that. It would have been a little bit too stiff. Anyway, started a 3rd time. Wasn't large enough here or elastic enough, so I started a 4th time. Here is kind of okay. Made the 2 pattern. I tried to measure his hands, but it was a little bit hard. Made him try it on. The thumb was not long enough when I followed exactly the pattern, so I had to undo the stitches and the bind off and knit a bit further. Now it's a little bit too long, but I'd rather have it a little bit too long than too short. It wasn't comfortable for him. And when I tried it on him again, I realized that his hands arrive really at the end. So he touches the end and I think it's not so comfortable. So I finished the 2 mittens. I have to start them again. Just undo the top part where I did the decreases and then add just a few more rows and then finish again, do the decreases and finish. And I think now it's the right time to finish them because it's getting really, really cold outside. So when he's on his bike, I think it's gonna be really nice to wear. This is the yarn. And I think that the store owner said, so either this is Lima from Drops, or she said that it was like Lima from Drops. I'm not sure anymore since I don't have the tag. I can't know for sure. And yeah, really soft, really nice. I think it's gonna be nice to wear. I still think that it's not gonna be warm enough for the very cold days, but at the moment it should be okay. And If it's not warm enough, I can still knit another pair for him now that I kind of have his measurements. So this is kind of a finished object, but I'm not gonna show it again to you. This is it. And I don't know what I did with the second one. I think I must have left it downstairs. Now for the work in progress. I have socks back on my needles. I'm so happy about that. Okay. Last time I was knitting socks was in June. Didn't work. I stopped. Didn't know what to do. And kind of left them aside. So I just started again because I wanted to finish them. I think what made me want to knit on socks again was that it started to be a little bit colder, and so my partner started wearing his hand-knit socks again. He was so happy about that, and so I thought I have to finish his socks. So I started knitting socks for him with some yarn that I had left from a jumper that I knitted him a few years ago. So this is a sock yarn, and I had my main color here, which is the brown, and I had my contrasting color, which is this. I love this contrasting color. It's kind of beige gray with speckles, and this yarn is une louve dans les bois, and the main color, the brown one, is l'odeur du bois, and the contrasting color is en amoureux sur la plage. I write it down below because it's in French, so it's gonna be easier for you if you want to find it again. I'm not sure if she's making them, if she's still making those colors, but yeah. So anyway, I was knitting that, so I had 50 grams left of the main color and maybe 16 of the contrasting color, so I knew I wouldn't have enough to make a long pair of socks. So I kind of made shorties, which are not really shorties. They're a bit too high, but then I didn't have enough yarn to make them higher. So they're kind of a bit too high, but not high enough. In a weird place, I think. And when I arrived here, I knitted the 2 socks. And when I arrived here, I realized that I wouldn't have enough yarn to finish the foot. So it's not high enough, and I don't have enough yarn. I still have some of the contrasting color, but I wouldn't have high enough if I started here to knit the end of the sock. So I asked my partner what he wanted, and he was okay to use another yarn, another color that looked a bit similar but was different, to do the end and also to remake the top, the leg of the foot, to add some length. So I started with the foot to finish, and as you can see, I had to knit quite a lot of it. And I used some sock yarn that I had in my stash. I have no idea what this is. This is the color. So as you can see, it's quite different. It's a little bit in between. This one is a little bit lighter. This one a little bit more brown, beige. And I'm doing anatomical toes. So only on one side decreasing, and only the last 2 rows I'm going to decrease on the big toe side. So this is the right one. And I stopped here because I need to recalculate the decreases because they weren't fast enough, so it's a bit too long for his foot. So I think that at some point I have to decrease not only 1 stitch per side, but 2 stitches per side. I have to recalculate that. So I haven't started with the second one. I don't have any of the brown yarn left, so I just need to start with this one, but I wanted to finish the first one first. And then I'll see what I do for the top part. I think I'm going to cut here, maybe. And I don't know. I don't know if I reknit with this and do the cuff with the other yarn. Not sure yet. But here I am, and since I didn't have his measures and that I knew that it was a bit too long and he didn't measure his foot, I wanted to go on with some socks. And so I'm going to show you my second work in progress, which is also a sock. And this one is for me. And this was also a fail a few months back because I started knitting them and I just had the beginning of the cuff. I was about here, tried them on, and they were too small. Like the cuff wasn't elastic enough. I couldn't pass my my foot, or it was really difficult to pass it. So started again. Here I'm using Mondim. Here, okay. Sorry, I don't have the tags with me. I think they're downstairs, but I've got, oops, this one is the contrasting color. This is really basic brown, and this is the main color. And so what I changed was that I did an all Norwegian cast on, but I'm knitting my socks on 1.75mm needles, but I started the top with 2.25. I did a cast on with them and did the first round of ribbing with 2.25, and then for the second round changed to 1.75mm needles, which is way more elastic, and it's perfect like this. I did 3 rounds of the contrasting color, and then the rest, 17 rounds of the main color for the ribbing, half twisted rib. When I started, I had already started with the main color, and I was like, why am I doing twisted rib? It takes too long. But now I'm happy I did that. I could have been normal ribbing, but anyway, so those are the socks. I wanted them quite high. It doesn't look really high right now, but it's enough. I have quite big calves, so I was a bit afraid that it would arrive at a place on my calf that is way bigger and it wouldn't fit anymore, which is like just below that part, so it's good. Next time maybe I have to try something, maybe make the ribbing a little bit bigger so it passes my calf if I want to have higher socks. I'll see. I did the heel flap and gusset, so the heel in contrasting color, and then did the decreases for the foot and just plain stockinette stitch. Perfect. And I have to say, and yeah, I think it also, it's also a bit because of that, but it's a little bit big around my ankle. I have a big difference of size between my calves and my ankle, and I have large feet, so it's kind of a bit weird. So it's a little bit too big around my ankle, but I think that is also because I made the heel a little bit too long. I did 17 rows back and forth, so 34 in total, and I think I should have done maybe 16 or even 15. I don't know. I'll try 16 in the next pair of socks, see if it fits, and if it's still a bit too big, go to 15. Maybe not go to 15 straight away. And I arrived at the part where I have to start the decreases. Yes, so that's my foot here. And I'm going to do anatomical toes, which I love. It leaves a lot more room for every toe to spread out and to be a lot more comfortable. So I'm going to do that. And since I was on the go, I was walking while I was knitting, I wanted to have something a little bit easier than magic loop for the toes and thinking about the rounds and knowing where I was. So I cast on my second pair and started here, the top of the sock here. So I'm just at the beginning of the stockinette part. And I've got my autumnal markers, stitch markers. So I've got here. And here it is in the little mushroom on the other one. And I think they fit perfectly on those socks. So I have those two ones, and I'm loving sock knitting again. And that made me want to knit so many more socks. And I was kind of craving for colorwork socks. So I was looking again through Stone Knits designs, because there are some of her designs that I wanted to knit forever. What was the name of the... So I made a list. I can't remember. Maybe I can talk a little bit about my sock knitting here, or maybe I'll talk about it in the plans, but I've got the list here. Maybe I'll talk about it at the end, because I still have just one more work in progress to show you. I already kind of talked about it because I wanted to knit it in the next few weeks. And those are some slippers for my son, because he doesn't have any slippers anymore here at home, because his last ones were too small. I've knitted a pair for him for school, and now it's for the house, because he's wearing socks and he's saying that it's cold without his socks. So this is the right time. So I'm knitting the Doble tøfler, the slippers from Sadness Gone. I've already knitted those slippers before a few times. So I'm using those two colors. I wanted it to be a little bit more fun, so than just one color. For the last one, I made kind of a rainbow at around the toes, and for this one, I thought that I could do it with stripes. So here it is. Well, I still had the yarn in the balls. I was quite unsure about the colors, but I think they go really well together. And yeah, now that I made a few stripes, I just realized it kind of looks like Harry Potter, but I don't really mind. He won't know it. Yeah. So I'm doing 6 repeats, 6 rows, 6 rounds, and then I change the colors. And here I'm just about to start dividing for the feet, for the 2 parts of the foot. And that's it. And for those who don't know the pattern, if you want to understand a bit the construction, if you haven't seen it, I made a video about it where you can see the different steps of the construction of these slippers. And this is, I think I already said it, maybe not, Alaska from Dobbs. And I don't have the Colorways. I have the tags, but I don't know which one is which. So one is color 58 and the other one 67. And I'm knitting the size, the third size, so I think it's 29-30. Here's a 24, but the 25-26 was just a little bit too small. So I went 2 sizes up, and I think I'm not gonna make them that long, but just to have it a little bit wider. And that's it, I think. And so I was saying, that I wanted to make more socks, but I also have other plans. So I was saying that I had more plans to knit more socks, and especially colorwork socks. But I also realized that I wanted to make other jumpers, but I tend to knit different projects at the same time with the same needle size. So I thought that I should organize a little bit my knitting so I don't have like 2 or 3 jumpers on my needles with the same needle size, especially with small sizes. So I kind of organized my knitting to understand, just to have an overview of what I wanted to knit, what I was knitting, and what needle size I was using. So I could have one project that is, for example, fingering weight yarn, another one with bigger needles, which would also be a bit more, how do I say that? Like the last fingering weight tee that I knitted took me a lot of months to knit, which is okay, but I realized that sometimes I also need quicker projects just to have like this rewarding feeling, you know, when you finish something, it worked and it fits and it's nice to wear. Even if it's not for me, it could be for someone else too, that's okay for me. Just this feeling of finishing some projects that I like to have. Not too much, but sometimes, you know. So I made a list of the socks that I wanted to knit, and also of the different jumpers and different accessories and everything. And I also thought that I wanted to only have one pair of socks on my needles. I have 2 at the moment because, well, the first one I didn't know how to continue it, so I started another one. But other than that, especially if it's colorwork socks, I only want 1 pair, or maybe 1 vanilla socks and 1 colorwork, which would be okay. I just wanted to share with you the plans that I have for the socks, because a lot of them come from sewn knits, but maybe I can put some pictures so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So it's not in the order that I want to knit them, it's just the order that I wrote them. The first one is the Field of Sunflowers, and I think I want to knit the 2 versions. So one with the whole flower, just 1 repetition, and the other one is with just the flower in itself, just the petals. and I just don't really know the colors that I want to knit them with. So I also started to make a list of the kind of colors that I have to buy, because I realized that if I want to make colorwork socks, I will need more specific colors. And because I do have a stock of stock yarn, especially Mondim. Some of them would be nice to knit with for the color work that I want to knit, but I wouldn't have all of the colors that I need. I want to knit also under the quilt, which is, I think it's her latest design, but I really love it. And I think I want to knit it with 2 colors but different tones of the same color. Then I have 3 from her book, and this is the eggs, the tulip, and the lavender. I don't have the real names. I think the eggs, I really like it because of the blue color, so I do think I want to knit it with the same color that she knit it with, and it's Mondim, so I can find it easily, and it's non-superwash, so it's perfect. The next one is the Magic Toadstool socks, and I think this is the first pattern from Stone Knits that I sew, and I loved it. And that's how I started to look at all her patterns. And I really want to make it. And the last one from her is the Forever Autumn socks. Then I also have the pattern Poussez-vous les Glands from... I haven't prepared it. I'm gonna have a look. So Poussez-vous les Glands is a pattern from Lysandre Hourdin. And the color work, you have 2 charts. You have one with a fox head, and the second one is with an acorn. So either I'm gonna do one sock with the fox and the other one with the acorn, or 2 pairs. I'm not sure yet, but I really like it. And then the last one that I want, well, there are two other socks that I want to make, but not color work. The first one is one for my partner, because he asked me to have some, to knit him some kind of tennis socks, where you have just the 2 stripes, or maybe 3, I think 2, that he had in mind. I don't know if he wants 2 or 3, I'll do whatever he wants. And he wanted them in green, so I don't have that color in my stash. So he wanted, I think, to have the sock in green and the 2 stripes in white. So if I order some sock yarn, I'm gonna order some for these socks too. And then the last one that I want to make is the one is this colorway, and I wanted to knit some fun socks with colors, and I realized I really wanted that. So this is one that I brought back from Portugal. And I think it's gonna make this really fun color socks. And I can't wait to knit with it, but I realized that I saw it on Ravelry. A person did a contrasting ribbing and toes, maybe the heel, with yarn that kind of looks like this. A little bit between the 2. It's yellow, but it's not this orange. It's a little bit more yellow than this orange, and I loved it. And I think I want to do that too. And since I also need some yellow for the sunflowers and for other socks, I thought that maybe I can wait to have this contrasting color to use it for this pair of socks. And this is one that I cannot wait to knit. And then for the other plans, I had different plans in mind. So the first one, you've heard me talk about it for so long, but this is the Stockbridge cardigan, which I made a swatch for, and I would knit it on 2.25mm needles. And since I had my Vilma top on my needles with 2.75mm needles, I said, no way, I want to knit them both at the same time. So I wanted to finish my Vilma top first before starting the Stockbridge cardigan. I also want to start the Marit cardigan by Kristin Drysdale, which I would knit. I still need to make the swatch, but I have the yarn for it, and I should knit it on 3mm needles. So I don't think I would knit both of them at the same time. Both are fingering weight cardigans. So I think that I'm gonna start one of the two. And then there's mittens, I finished them. There's the Cameo vest that I want to start. I also have the yarn. It's Brusca from Retrosaria, and I brought it back from Portugal, so I have it. I'm ready to start with it. Haven't made did I make a swatch already? I think I already made a swatch with the one that I had before I brought it back from Portugal, and this would be on 3.5mm needles. So I think I can actually start this one at the same time as the other one of the two other cardigan, especially since it's a vest. It's going to be a lot faster to knit it. And then there's also one, I made a swatch for it, and I would knit it on bigger needles. And I told you that I had some boucle yarn. I started a jumper with it. I'm not gonna continue with this jumper, so I made a swatch combining the boucle yarn and some silk mohair, which is a little bit more grey when the alpaca boucle is white. And for me, I thought that this would be too white, so made a swatch. And I think I like the way it looks like this, the way it feels. It wasn't tight enough, so I'm using 4.5mm needles for the top part of the swatch. I think I like it like that. I just have to knit a little bit further to measure it correctly, and then I will be able to look for a pattern. I want to make a cardigan with that. I think I have 16 stitches, 15 or 16 stitches per 10 centimeters. So it's quite a large gauge, so I can also start this one at the same time as the other cardigan. I'm just not sure about what I want to make, what kind of cardigan. I don't think I want drop shoulders because I don't think I would wear them, so either maybe some raglan, but I feel like it's not gonna be it's gonna fall all the time from the shoulders. So I was thinking about maybe an English styled construction. I'm not sure. So those are for socks and garment plans, and I also have some accessories on the side. So here was the second mitten. Just found it. It was under this bag. So yeah, those are the next plans. So since I just finished the Vilma top, didn't put anything else on my needles, but in the next episode you're gonna be able to see a new garment, and one of the three, I think. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you could also be knitting or crocheting or doing any other craft or any other thing that you liked while you were watching this podcast. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye!